As far as I can tell, we're the only program like this in the state of Ohio, in the United States of America, and I think we're the only program like this in the world, so we are very unique. The Academy for Leadership Abilities is what I would consider a John Wooden moment. But if you know anything about John Wooden, I believe he's one of two people in the College Basketball Hall of Fame as a player and as a coach. But he was a very successful basketball coach when he went out to a university on the West Coast and began working in their basketball program and set up UCLA. I think they ended up winning 7 national championships, maybe 5 or 6 of those in a row in the late 60s and early 70s. Had a young man come play for him, a man by the name of Dual Cinder. Anybody remember that name change? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then Bill Walton. But John Wooden was just a short little guy from Martinsville, Indiana, and he ended up as probably, I would consider him the greatest basketball coach at the college level. What I mean by a John Wooden moment, John Wooden prepared his players not to win basketball games, he prepared them for life. Leadership, focusing on abilities. John Wooden had a saying that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. We happen to be prepared both in partnerships as well as what we wanted to do as a county board, and we were ready when the opportunity came. The Academy for Leadership Abilities is a result of failure. And one of the things we try to help people understand is failure can lead to success. And we were really trying to do 2 things. So we wanted to focus on people's abilities, and we wanted to change a culture. How people look at people with disabilities. How people with disabilities look at themselves. We wanted to do that. In addition, we wanted to stay at home. We felt that to change the culture, people needed to be involved right where they were at. And another principle that we had was 1 class, 1 curriculum. We were pulling together students that we felt would benefit from learning about their abilities and leadership who were tagged as people with disabilities, and then leaders from the school districts. You got your athletes, you got your band folks, you got your student council, and so we were pulling them together in 1 class. And that class all worked together. And what we have found has been amazing, where their fellow students will step up beside students who may be struggling, and it's inclusion at its best. Within Perry County, ALA has been also how we have identified our efforts to get into the schools and actually then working with JFS and into the community with leadership training. We developed the material, and it's Academy for Leadership Abilities curriculum. It's all around leadership. It's all around focusing on abilities. It's amazing to watch people start to think about integrity, start to think about leadership and their abilities, and see the turn that takes place in their minds. So we have continued to partner with Jobs and Family Services, and not only do they help us with our efforts of ALA in the schools, they said, hey, we got some programs we want you to do ALA in. We have a young man who came to work for us as a part-time direct support professional. He has immersed himself into ALA and has started a program called Pioneering Possibilities on his own with some support from us. But it is for people who have finished school, and it's just a community program to focus on abilities. And Morgan has done an amazing job with that. And by the way, he works full-time for us now. Morgan has autism. He's 21 years old, and he's got this program off the ground. So preparation meets opportunity. We've been very lucky. Very, very lucky. So, 2 things before I give it over to Brian. We always start out with the integrity unit, and we're fortunate. In schools, teachers have a lot of responsibility to certain things, and when we come in with ALA, we have a curriculum that allows us to get people thinking and talking. We want to teach kids how to think. We want to teach people how to think, not what to think. We start out with integrity, doing the right things for the right reasons, with the right people, every single time to the best of our ability, even when no one is looking. And when you start talking to kids about that, or adults who've never really thought about it, their thought processes begin to change. And it's amazing to watch that happen. But most of us, myself included, probably would be scared to death to walk into a classroom or a group of people and say, let me talk to you about integrity. Well, thanks to Practical Strategies efforts, we've got some material that we can lay out there. The conversation doesn't necessarily follow that material line by line. But when you get that conversation going and you start talking about personal core values, personal strengths, you can get people to really think. And if we can get people to learn how to think and focus on their abilities, not only have we given them a life, I've saved a ton of money. That makes me an administrative genius, because those dollars are no longer serving people or supporting people in areas where they are now saying, hey, I can do that. I don't need that anymore. I want to go here. We can take those dollars and support other people.
So I walk into this classroom and I see these notes up all over. What is a leader? What does it look like? Who do you think are leaders? And it really got me thinking. And then it was like, well, what is integrity? And then I read this logo, do the right things for the right reasons with the right people every single time. But then it's to the best of your ability, even when no one's looking. And it really made me think. And when I started to think, and I started to see these kids in the classroom thinking, this girl would walk in and she had these crutches, and she would come into the classroom, and watching how the class supported her, there was nobody that said, oh, hey, can you help? They just pitched in and did it. Watching how they thought about their school, seeing that change, a school that I graduated from, a school that was important to me, and being able to see that. And almost, in the beginning, I was jealous of them, right? Because I would have loved to have had somebody talk to me about my character versus my reputation. Because at one point in time, I had a tan. I was about 40 pounds lighter, And now I walk in, and what'd you say, Harlan? Harlan Sanders? Mr. Colonel Sanders, right? And I walk in with that, because that's what you see when you see me, and that's okay. That's okay, because that's human, right? That's human nature of what we deal. But when we can teach these kids, and I've had them say that in the beginning, and then once they get to know me, and we start to build relationships, all that washes away. We don't judge people when we have a relationship with them. And that's what ALA starts to do. It starts to bridge that commonality between peers. We're creating an environment where our youth are starting to see their peers in a valued way. Think about our world. Think about our society and where we're at. Last night, I got the privilege to attend a graduation ceremony for a drug court. Okay, and we had the first 2 individuals completed this drug court. And what a wonderful thing that was for those individuals to start putting things into their life to make themselves better. And it got me thinking, as long as we have a need for a drug court, we have a need for leadership. We have a need for ALA, right? Because think about our communities, think about our kids, think about what they're seeing on TV, what they're dealing with, what's being put in their head. Where does that stop? I look at my community, I look at those things, and when I see this need that we have, where does that change start? How does that change come about? How do we start to value one another? That's where ALA hooked me in. I watched it. I've seen it firsthand as a community member, as a volunteer. And I said, I want to be a part of that. I don't care what I got to do. Now here I am, and I'm proud to be a part of that. I've had the privilege of facilitating classes at both Southern Local, at our Perry County JFS, and at New Lex High School. I get to talk to these kids. I get to see these kids. I get to watch that light bulb start to come on. Because when you start to ask a kid, well, why do you think that? And then they start to realize that they think the same way, or they have a similar thought as you, and you have a similar thought. Well, now we have a relationship, right? Now we can start to build that bridge. We had a student, my wife was a speech pathologist, and I know Greg will probably speak about that a little bit, but she was very supportive of this program. She had a student that she worked with, and he was very shy. He wouldn't talk to his peers. He wouldn't come out of his shell. And after 3 years in ALA, and that support that his classmates showed him, he sang the national anthem, and he stood up at the talent show, and he told jokes, and his classmates clapped. And I went to his graduation party, and the star running back of the football team comes walking in, and he's so excited, right? Because they're buddies. They have that connection. I know a lot of these schools and a lot of us that work transition, and that's something that we strive for, to find that connection, to find that support for our folks. It's there. It happens. And it happens naturally. 2 years ago, I had the star football player. He's in his third year of college, and he shows up at my house, and I'd only coached him 3 years. I coached him through junior high in his freshman year, and he showed up at my house, and he said, "Hey, I've never passed my conditioning test in college. I need to pass the test. I need you to run me this summer." He says, "I need somebody to hold me accountable, and you will hold me accountable." And that's the other principle that we teach in ALA, is that we also help to hold each other accountable. Because sometimes we're going to trip, and sometimes we're going to fail. I fail quite often. But it's not a shameful thing. And when you realize you have somebody that you can count on to help pick you back up, it makes a world of difference. Saw that same gentleman that showed up at my house when he was in high school. Somebody knocked the books out of a girl in his class. The girl, one of the non-neurotypical girls in the class. And he said, "Hey, you got to pick those books up." There he is, 6'6", 300, he's probably 300 pounds in. Talking to these guys and saying, "That's my friend. You don't treat her that way." That's influence. That's the other piece we talk about, being able to influence people to be better. And I'll end with this. Everything rises and falls on leadership. It really does. Everything rises and falls on leadership. My favorite quote is from Gandhi, and it's, "Be the change in the world that you want to see." And we talk to the kids about that, and we get into these quotes, but that idea of being the change, and what can you do, and what aren't you satisfied with, and how are you going to change it? Because a small change can make a world of difference.
If you guys are educators, we're doing math, we're doing science, we're doing reading. There's not a lot in the curriculum for the social, emotional, and a lot of those things that kids need to know to be well-rounded individuals. This addresses that. And actually at a key time in their life, too. If you've not been in a junior high lately, junior highs are one of the scariest, most judgmental places you'll ever be in your life. And this is at a key time that these kids need that. Some of the success stories, that's why I'm here. This is what you guys need to know about our kids and what it does for them. One student we had, and every one of the kids that are in there have been a success story. But these are the ones that stood out to me and that you'll enjoy hearing. We had a student that he comes from a very broken home. He's been abused, neglect. There's mental health issues in his home. He comes to school every day. He puts his hoodie up, and he puts his head against the wall, and he talks about Pokemon to himself. In fact, he did it outside my office door, and it took me a while to figure out what was going on. Didn't talk to anybody, didn't interact with anybody. That was him. That is what he did. And through ALA and the partnerships that he's had with other students in there, he just actually is a freshman now. So one of the scariest times of his life that I expected him to put his hoodie back up and go into a high school and not talk to anybody again, hoodie's down, he's talking to people, he's out, in the cafeteria with kids. He doesn't care who it is, he's going to talk to them. These kids took him under his wing, and these are your athletes, these are your scholar kids, these are your drama kids, your band kids. They took him in and, had a huge effect on this child. Another girl, same scenario, doesn't ever talk, she keeps her head down, would never talk to a boy ever. I found out she just asked a kid to the dance the other day. And I know you're looking for data. Everybody looks for data. How is this going to improve our school? Guys, if you're in education, so many of the good things for kids are the things that can't be calculated, that can't be written down on paper, but you can see on a kid's face that they're happy to be at school, they're glad to be there, and they're going to be successful. I've never been contacted by another principal about a kid coming to my district about attendance. This principal felt like he should call me and say, hey, this kid has been an attendance issue forever, never comes to school, won't come to our IEP meetings. Through ALA, this kid hardly misses. She's excited to be at school, and in fact, she told one of the instructors, I don't want to miss school because I don't want to miss ALA. Another kid beats up his mom, gets in trouble at home all the time, very broken home, very violent kid, comes to school, and through the interactions he's had with other kids and some peer de-escalation stuff that they've done in this class, this kid rarely gets in trouble at school. Now, through his environment at home, this is where it's hard. Through his environment at home, it kind of hampers his ability to grow. But while he's at school, with those supports in place, with those kids that are also in that class with him, working with him, wildly successful at school. And then you're also going to wonder, okay, we're doing this for kids with disabilities, but we're partnering them with kids that are gen ed students. What do they get out of this? Every one of these kids are leaders in the building, and you kind of wonder, okay, how am I going to grow this kid? They're already a leader. They're already respected by their peers. What additionally are they going to get out of this? We have seen our kids become more confident, improved participation, believe it or not, in other activities, wanting to take the ALA message into other activities that they're doing. One of the cooler moments that I got to be a part of was the kids came to me. All our kids were involved in Special Olympics. And they came to me and they said, hey, can you get us there? We want to go cheer these kids on. They were so incredibly humbled by Special Olympics when they came back, and the impact that they have had on those kids and the impact they can still have on those kids, that they felt so great about cheering on them, and the kids just loved that they were there. And if they're running and they hear their name from one of their buddies, it was a really good experience. What is the hardest change you have had to make? And these are our kids' responses. To hang around people that have a better influence on me. Thinking for myself. What is the most important thing ALA has taught you? To be open-minded and treat everyone equally. I had a conversation with a kid at lunch yesterday because I told him I was going to go do this. And he said that he just never really thought about kids with disabilities before. He'd never really interacted with them, and just the positive experience that he had with those kids and how he is going to behave in the future is what the biggest impact was on him. One thing you want others to know about ALA, it's a great time to spend with people who make you feel good about yourself. I can't even imagine that some of these kids have never been around somebody that doesn't make them feel good about themselves. Helps you be the best you can be. What has ALA done for you? ALA has made me a better person and open to meeting new people. Little girl asked a kid out to the dance the other day. I thought that was cool. A kid that has been in the high school program for a couple weeks, never talks to anybody, took a big box of balloons, took it out into lunch the other day in front of everybody in a high school setting, set it on the table in front of this girl and opened the balloons and gave her a card and says, will you go to the dance with me? Two or 3 weeks, been in ALA. He's got enough, out of it to be able to do that at that point. Self-confidence, realize my true self, be a leader, integrity, friends with people I normally wouldn't be. It's benefiting our kids. It's benefiting them in a positive way. I had a chance to talk to a parent before I came here and ask them, okay, your kid, and it's a gen ed kid, what change have you seen in your son since participating in this program? And she said, not only is he more respectful at home and at school, and this is a kid that's good anyway, so if it's taking that to an even higher level. She shared a story with me, the kid that he was partnered with. He worried about that kid nonstop. Is he sleeping well? Is he being hurt? All these things, to the point where mom wanted to go get him and bring him to their house so he could know that he was okay. She said that he's more aware of the needs of kids with special needs. He's more mature, and in fact, she shared with me that this whole process has put him on the path to being a special ed teacher. Like, he feels that passionate about what he's done that he wants to continue this. And like I said, guys, I'm not sure that this can be recorded data-wise anywhere. I'm not sure that I can show you that our attendance is better. I'm not sure that I can show you that our discipline has went down. But the looks on these kids' faces and how they feel about being at school, how they feel about their peers, and the culture change that this has started in our school is completely worth it. In fact, so much so that our high school principal said, something's different this year. I don't know what it is. He said, these kids come up here, and these are the kids that were in ALA last year. He said, something's different. I can't put my finger on it, but these kids have made a change in our building. And overall, I mean, just to improve the overall culture through attendance, through scores, through graduation rates, there has to be, at some point or another, we'd be able to track this and say, this was a success, not only to our eyes, but on paper somewhere.
I'm Greg Holbert, the superintendent at Southern Local Schools in Perry County, and we were the school that began the ALA program in partnership with the Perry County DD Board. Our school district is the fourth poorest in the state of Ohio out of 700 plus school districts in terms of property valuation. We have very high poverty. We have very high special needs. We have, in years, had 30+% of our students with IEPs a couple of times. I don't know how many educators. I know Casey's shaking his head and is, but those are high numbers. When you combine poverty and disabilities and have high numbers, that presents some tremendous challenges as a school district. So thinking of those things, collaboration with a county agency could be huge to benefit our students. And Dave mentioned this, there were a lot of failures, there were a lot of struggles, and anytime you put in a program that's successful and going to benefit your students, it's going to take time, there's going to have to be adjustments, you have to be able to work through that. And we have regulations as a school district, as you know. The DD board has regulations, so we both had to be flexible, be willing to adjust and communicate and make changes as necessary, yet work within guidelines that both groups had. And we've done that very successfully and have a really, really good working relationship. So I want to talk about the benefits of collaboration with the Perry Board of DD. And I want to say, anytime, and I mentioned this earlier, but anytime that we can partner with the county agency to provide more and better opportunities for our students, we have to strongly consider it. We would be derelict in our duty, I think, if we did not strongly consider that. And if it can be worked out to be mutually beneficial to both agencies and both institutions, it's well worth it. And this program has been for both the Perry DD Board and Southern Local and our students. In addition to having our students involved in the ALA curriculum, we've gained expertise in the form of employees at the DD Board to help our special needs students in other areas. I know Shelley's been an advocate at times for a few of our students that were not in the ALA program. So we have gained expertise to help not just the students in ALA, but some of our students not in ALA that are IEP students that have been a big help to us as well. There have been many benefits to our students in this program, and I want to share those with you. First of all, and you've heard this from almost everybody, or probably everybody so far, but the ALA has elevated the status of our students with disabilities by greatly improving their self-esteem and confidence. Their feelings about school and their feelings about regular ed students have improved, thus leading to a greater sense of acceptance and belonging. David talked earlier about students sitting, our athletes, our leaders, and our students with disabilities sitting at the same table together in class. We could use that phrase both literally and figuratively, that our students with disabilities have gained a seat at the table, so to say. A seat at the table both literally and figuratively, because not only are they sitting with them in class, but they're sitting with them in lunchrooms and breakfast And it's been a huge positive thing, but just the overall feeling, the overall confidence and self-esteem has been really important. We have a student this year with great challenges named Anthony, and Anthony has had a great year because he's been greatly accepted by football players that he once admired and thought he couldn't even approach. They're now his friends that he can now sit with at breakfast and lunch, and it's made a huge difference on his career as a student. Best year by far he's had. And his behavior and the negatives of his past have not been seen much this year. It's been a great improvement. The second benefit to students is it's led to increased achievement and increased accomplishments by our students with disabilities. Brandon, who was mentioned by Brian earlier, was the student who started ALA with severe needs, disability, hardly would speak, hardly would want to speak. And Brandon, as Brian mentioned, went from hardly speaking to singing the national anthem, to speaking and telling jokes at talent shows, to speaking and wanting to speak in front of his peers. Brandon also, he graduated 2 years ago, was named the R.A. Horn Outstanding Student with Disabilities in our region. So what a tremendous growth that Brandon had shown during his career. The third benefit of students, and it's been mentioned by Tony and Brian both, is that ALA has led to an increased awareness, empathy, and advocacy from our regular ed students and our leaders. One of the things I think that ALA has been really important with our students is that it's instilled a sense of hope and hopefulness. And we all know that having hope and hopefulness is critically important for anything we do in life. But and Tony talked about, sometimes it's hard to quantify things, it's hard to measure important things with data. Finally, in the last couple years, Battelle for Kids, which is probably the leading educational research company in the world, has come out with some things on hope and engagement. I want to read a couple sentences. This came out last December. It said, in a recent Gallup survey from 2016 of the nation's K-12 school district superintendents, nearly 9 in 10 superintendents said student hope and engagement were important in assessing the effectiveness of public schools in their community. Research suggests student hope is actually a stronger predictor of college enrollment and persistence than several academic measures, including ACT, SAT, or high school GPA. Hope is more than wishful thinking. Hope is positively related to emotional engagement with school, which in turn is related to academic performance. The great news is that any student, no matter their family income, race, or ethnicity, can be hopeful and emotionally engaged in their learning. You've been hearing a lot of stories about hope today in students, and that is huge, huge. I want to read a few things, a few quotes, so bear with me because these are important. A couple of years ago, since we've had it now about 7 years at Southern Local, a couple of years ago, Russ and Cindy asked me to write down some comments that I'd been hearing from staff and parents about ALA. We were about 4 or 5 years into the program, and I want to read them for you. ALA class is different in a good way from most of the academic classes students take. There is a lot more active learning opportunities with ALA. Many ALA students have shown a marked improvement in their other classes, both academically and in attitudes that have been attributed to ALA. ALA has greatly increased students' confidence to be involved in activities and participate in their other classes. Many students have improved their public speaking and overall communication skills. Students' decision-making skills and abilities have improved. ALA has caused better support in the school and in athletics for peers of different academic and socioeconomic backgrounds. ALA has provided many valuable learning experiences for students outside of the regular classroom setting. There is a strong positive feeling for ALA within our school community. Keep up the good work. I want to share with you from a couple other people that have been mentioned. Some have been mentioned here today. Brian mentioned his wife, Ann Hinkle, who was a great speech-language pathologist for us and worked with Brandon, who I've mentioned. She writes this about a situation with Brandon. Thank you so much for telling me about Brandon's speech today and for allowing me to sit in on it. It was a wonderful experience for me and nearly moved me to tears thinking of how far he has come this year. Your work, all of you, is remarkable, and Brandon's social skills have skyrocketed. It was so great to listen to him. Thanks for granting me this experience. It really made my day. I am so glad that I was able to experience the great work you are doing here with our students. I absolutely love and support what you are doing with these students. Stephan, the football player at Ohio Wesleyan. This is what he writes. When you graduate high school, a lot of things happen. You practically give up the life you live to live a new life that you think will bring you happiness. But happiness has some bumps in the road. Bonds with people fall apart. You don't see the ones you love nearly as often, and if you are a college athlete, your schedules are tight, and fall camp drains a man physically as well as mentally. I am one of those student athletes. I enrolled at Ohio Wesleyan University knowing that I was embarking on something new and something completely foreign to me. But listen to these next few sentences. But I had a set of values that had been instilled in me through school and the Academy for Leadership Abilities program that made me feel comfortable with this dramatic change. ALA had taught me how things aren't going to be picture perfect, and things are going to get hard, but in order to reach your goals and to be successful, you have to fight, claw, scratch through the hard times to reach the top rung of the ladder. It taught me to do everything I can to help my brothers, to make them better as well as myself. And then Samantha, the FFA student that achieved the American degree, Samantha writes, leadership is one of the key foundations to success. Every day, leaders are not only off pursuing their own dreams and creating their own goals, but they are inspiring and pushing others to do the same. I was one of the students that was fortunate enough to take part in the first ever ALA program at Miller High School. I have had a lot of great people come into my life the last few years and inspire me to be my best, push myself, and push others. ALA was one of the best opportunities I had in high school. ALA taught me failure leads to success, and integrity is your best friend. We are going to fail in life. We are only human. When you fail, that does not mean you can't bounce back up and chase after your dreams. Take something from your failure and make a lesson learned. Do it better the next time. Push yourself and strive to achieve your dreams. Integrity is your best friend, and once you learn to accept that, you won't fold under pressure or let other people make bad influences on your decisions. Do what you know is right, even when no one is around to see. Be the person that makes a difference by doing what is right and making the best choice. Be a leader and prove to people that they can do something great with themselves and in society. ALA inspired me and pushed me to do great things. I am strong, I am brave, and I am a leader. These are really powerful. When former students are writing those kinds of things, I mean, that's really powerful. That makes why this program is so important. And as I mentioned earlier, academics are very important, but the concepts that are taught in ALA are what matters most for success in life. And I'm extremely pleased that through ALA our students are able to get exposure to this kind of curriculum and to have this kind of opportunity in high school because these are hugely important concepts that they have learned that they're carrying out into their adult lives that make a great difference. I want to close with this, and Dave and I have talked about this at different times over the years, but there may be more goals, and I'm sure there are for ALA, but a mutual goal that both Southern Local and Perry DD Board have is to see this concept of ALA have a positive effect on our communities as these students become adults. We envision a community that includes students with disabilities who believe that they can contribute to society in positive and meaningful ways and are confident to try and are confident to lead. We envision a society, a community where our regular ed students, our student leaders, our future leaders, employers, mayors, city council members, school board members will have a healthy awareness of and acceptance for adults with disabilities and confidently provide them with fair opportunities to work alongside them, to lead alongside them, and to provide them with fair opportunities in the workforce and in the community. Thanks.
I'm the director at Job and Family Services in Perry County. we felt like we weren't really meeting our needs, meeting the needs of the community and meeting the needs of the kids. So when David approached us with this program opportunity, allowed us to participate, it really hit our mission statement and really spoke to us and what we really want to do with kids and how we really want to serve them. What we've done basically is we've taken the children, the class that you've already heard about, and then what we did is we started to add dollars to the TANF eligible children. So the TANF eligible children are the children who are living at or below 200% of the federal poverty level that you're serving under this program. Now, when David first came and asked to get on the calendar, I saw him on my calendar, immediately looked to the fiscal people and said, figure out how much money he wants. And see if we have it, see what we can do together. But instead of, like David said, you know, when we kind of pass these things off to other people, did a little bit more than just the typical 3 Ds where we just decide, delegate, then disappear, right? The people that we work with really let us stay involved. It was really important to the leadership in the community and the schools to stay involved because we all knew that this is an important opportunity. This is the kind of opportunity that really can change the culture of a community. And I am just so happy that we've been able to participate.